Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to this episode of Generate Now, the Microsoft podcast, where you will hear about customer and partner successes in Azure OpenAI, ChatGPT, and Copilot. We have a wonderful episode today with the Microsoft partner, Bravent, about a project they did in Spain. This is a manufacturing customer deploying Azure OpenAI on the plant floor. It is a great story because it incorporates plant floor data, maintenance data, corporate data, and is a bilingual use case. So to find out more about the project and who the customer is, please listen on. If you would enjoy shows like this, hit subscribe, share the show with a friend, and on to the show. Good morning, Mario. How are you today?
Good morning. Very good. I'm very good. How are you, James?
I'm doing very well. Welcome to the show. So, Mario, thank you for joining us today on the Generate Now podcast. Our topic today is a generative AI project that you did with a customer in Europe. So, very excited to have this conversation. Could you spend a minute telling us about yourself, who you are, and your company and your focus areas, please?
Yeah, well, thank you. First of all, thank you so much, James, for this invitation. I'm Mario López. I'm the Chief Innovation Officer at Bravent. Bravent is a software development company. We are a Microsoft partner. And of course, we are very focused on artificial intelligence, where we are developing very, very amazing and very innovative projects. And also we combine many other technologies like mixed reality, digital twins, business applications. We try at the end to get the best solution for our customers. We combine all of them to build the best possible solution for them.
Awesome. And the project that we agreed to talk about, that we are looking forward to talking about, could you mention the customer, the problem, the challenge that they were trying to solve, and then we can kind of get into what the customer wanted to achieve from the technology that you proposed.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Well, the customer in this case is John Deere Ibérica, is John Deere in Spain. We started working with them many years ago, I think 4 or 5 years ago. It's fun because we started with them working on different proof of concepts just to try computer vision and those new technologies that were appearing in that moment. And after that, we started collaborating with them in many different areas. We started working with other technologies and to solve different scenarios and different use cases. In the project that we are talking about, this is a problem that they were facing at the factory because in the production lines they have a solution, they have a tool where they are storing all the traceability of everything that is happening inside the factory. And the main problem was that every day or every week, the supervisors and the managers and the people who needs to report information, they need to get the right information of what was happening in the factory, for example, in that week. If everything was okay or they had any problem, what was happening. So all the information is stored in a SQL Server database. Normally, these kind of people, they are not technical. They don't know how to extract the information. And also, the main problem is that they didn't have any tool to get the information, because right now you can think, okay, we can build a dashboard or whatever, but they didn't have anything. So how they normally did it is that they request that information to the engineering team. For example, tell me this week how many products of this one they produced, or tell me if this week they had any problem, or more complex questions like tell me yesterday at night what this operator was doing. So they were taking all of these questions, and every day or every week they were writing the SQL queries to launch and get the right information and share the information with the manager. So imagine the amount of time that they were spending just typing the queries, sending the information. Also, the possibility to get some errors, because when you are typing something, probably you can get some errors. So they were spending a lot of time. And we started to talk about the new generative AI technologies, new tools, and new ways to communicate and to extract information. And that's when we decided to try to solve this problem with the main services that we are using, that is Azure OpenAI. So we decided to build at the beginning a proof of concept, just to take the database and see if we were able to extract the information, asking questions directly to Azure OpenAI, and automatically these questions will be transformed to a query, to a SQL query. So we were working on this proof of concept. The results were very good. It was fine. So at the end, the client decided to build the final solution, the final product, and also they decided to even add more functionalities, because they think that it is very powerful and very interesting. So mainly talking about technology, the main service that we are using is Azure OpenAI. With Azure OpenAI, we are receiving the questions that the users wants to do, and wants the information that they want to receive. And automatically we are transforming the questions to a SQL query, and we are extracting the information, the right information that we need to answer. Also, using Azure OpenAI, we are taking all of this information and we are building the answer in the right way to be understandable from the user.
Wonderful information, wonderful stories. So just to kind of go back and make sure I understand, right? This is John Deere Ibérica, which is John Deere Spain.
Yeah.
And this is a manufacturing environment in Spain.
It's a manufacturing environment where they mainly produce brakes and transmission mainly.
Okay. So this is a manufacturing environment where they're manufacturing brakes and transmissions, and it's a production line.
Yeah.
And there's real-time information available from the production line.
Yeah.
It's telemetry. A lot of it is numerical, part numbers, statuses, error codes, etc. And the problem, as I understand it, was the business needed to understand what was happening.
Yeah.
And in order to do that, they would have to call the IT shop, make the request. The IT shop would have to make the SQL queries. They would have to make the dashboards in order to respond to the business request. And the business managers, depending on the need every day, they might ask different questions. So this isn't a scenario where you could build a report and use that report every day, day after day, because every day, every week, the questions might change, correct?
Yeah.
Let me ask a question. Was this in Spanish or in English, or both?
Both.
Okay, perfect. So this is an example of how Azure OpenAI can operate in a multilingual environment.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, there are many, but one of the main advantages of using Azure OpenAI is that it's multilingual. So you can you can ask any question in any language, and also you can work with information in any language. So that's something very, very good.
Excellent. And the data sources. When you built the Azure OpenAI and the queries, was it querying one data source? Was it querying multiple data sources across different verticals in the production line? Maybe a quality system, maybe a production system, maybe a PLC system.
Yeah, it is a single database where they have different, as you are saying, different information in different tables. So we need to make queries asking or getting the information from different tables. We are joining all the information, and at the end we are building the answer for the user. But at the end is only one single database.
Okay, so one database, and if a user asked a question in Spanish, they got the response in Spanish.
Funny, yeah.
And if they asked in English, they got the response back in English.
That's it.
Okay.
Yes. And even if in your database the information is, for example, in Spanish, but you ask in English and you want the answer in English, they will be able to translate it and give to you the information in English. So that's perfect.
Outstanding. And just knowing how Spain is set up, I'll just ask this because I'm curious. Was there any Castilian or Basque language translation in there also, or it was primarily Spanish and English?
That's a very interesting question. In this scenario, it's only Spanish, but we have other customers where they are working in other languages like Basque or Catalan or whatever. But in this project, it's only in Spanish.
Okay, all right. But you do have that flexibility and that capability. Yeah. If they came and said, I want it in Basque because I'm in the Basque region, or in Castilian.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, excellent. So what was the result of this project? You did the POC, then what?
We are still working on calculate the ROI because we are getting more information, because we want to calculate with several months to have all the information available. But the results, to be honest, is really good. They are really happy with the product that they have because it's very easy to see the amount of time that they are reducing every day or every week, because as we were talking at the beginning, it takes a lot of time to write the SQL query and get the information, answer to the business side. And also, as I was saying, it's possible to get errors because we are humans, and when we are typing something, we have mistakes. So the amount of time that we are saving is a lot. As I said, we are still calculating the ROI, but in my opinion, will be very high.
Yeah. Well, and there's two potential benefits here, right? One is obviously you're reducing the amount of effort needed to get information, right? Yeah. So it's less people to achieve the results. But what might be more important really is time to value. You're getting information so much more quickly about the status of your production line. Where before you would have to call the IT shop, they would have to do SQL queries, build a report, then come back to you with the answers. I suspect now it's a much quicker process to make the request, ask the question, get the data, and to be able to make a decision as a business line manager based on the data that's coming in.
And also, the other important thing, or the other advantage, is that they are able to ask more questions and get more information, because now the user, they have available an interface like a chatbot where they can ask any question that comes to their mind. So in that moment, or in real time, as you were saying, they will get the information that they want. So you can take better decisions. You can compare with other data. It's very easy using natural language to get the right information that you need.
So a Power BI lets you look at your data. And if you have questions, maybe if you're lucky, you can drill down on the data if the drill down was built for the question that you might have. But in this scenario, you're able to chat with your data and ask questions and inquire and drill into different areas. And the Azure OpenAI chatbot can then respond directly back to the question that you're asking. So there's no need to have pre-built a drill down, to have pre-built a cube of data. trying to anticipate the questions, because now you don't need to do that. The Azure OpenAI Service allows you to ask the question dynamically. It'll query dynamically and bring you back an answer dynamically.
That's the main difference, because most of the companies, they have their own Power BIs, but with this solution you have the ability to ask about anything that you want in real time and using natural language, and that's completely different. It's a game changer in my opinion.
Excellent. So Mario, I love the story. I love the example. This is a manufacturing environment. It's helping out a population that normally isn't incredibly tech savvy, and therefore, has the ability and the aptitude to build their own queries and look for their own information. And what you're really bringing to the table is time to value with real-time information from a production line in a dynamic manner, right? Where you can continue to drill in and challenge the data. Why is it this way? Show me, prove to me, right? Show me the proof that these numbers really is this, right? To give you the confidence to really make a better business decision.
Correct.
Excellent. Mario, any last comments or observations on the project for the people that are listening today?
Well, maybe about the challenges that we had, because that's something that was happening to us in every project with them. One of the limitations that they have is that all the data that is confidential or is important for them, they are not allowed to use databases in the cloud, in Azure or in any other cloud. So here the challenge is that it's a hybrid solution, because we have Azure OpenAI and other services running on the cloud on Azure, but we are connecting and extracting the data from a SQL server on premise that is in the factory of John Deere Ibérica. So that's probably the biggest challenge that we were facing in this project, because the user was, of course, on their own laptop or on their own computer asking a question. We are calling to Azure OpenAI, and with Azure OpenAI, we are transforming the question to a SQL query. This query is traveling to the John Deere factory to get the right information. We need to work with the information on premise, because we cannot send everything to the cloud again. And when we have the information ready, we just send the information to Azure OpenAI again to build the answer. We need to build these scenarios using a hybrid solution. So you can imagine, James, here it was a little challenging.
So Mario, so effectively, if I understood this correctly, the data, some of the data that you were querying could not be put in the cloud. So rather than send the data to the cloud so you can query, it sounds like you built the query in the cloud, and then you sent the query down to the on-prem system.
Correct.
And then the query that you built calculated, inquired, it brought a result back, right? And then the only thing that went back up to the cloud was the result. Correct. Not the data itself, but the result of the query. So what's really creative here is the fact that you're building a query in the cloud and sending it to an on-prem system to protect the confidentiality of the data that the customer didn't want to put on the cloud.
Correct.
Interesting.
That was the biggest challenge that we had in this project, and we are also having in other projects with them, because the main database for all the traceability that they have is on premise, on their factory. And as I said, you can send just an information about one production line, for example, but you cannot send all the table to the cloud and analyze the data and whatever. No, that's not possible. They are not allowed to do that. So we are, as you said, we are ensuring that the information is confidential. We are not sharing any information, or we are not making public any information. So that's something that was very, very important for them. The security and the confidentiality is very important for them.
Awesome. So there's a couple of really innovative angles to this story that I'm hearing. One is obviously the multilingual aspect, because you do work in a multilingual environment.
Yeah.
And the information is multilingual. You might have systems that report back in English, but the person making the query made the query in Spanish, right?
Yeah.
So that's one characteristic here that is innovative. And then the other is the fact that you had to build queries that would work on an on-prem database because you weren't able to pull the data up to the cloud for querying.
Correct. That's it.
Excellent. Outstanding. Well, congratulations to you and to your team on a wonderful project. This is a really, really exciting story, and I'm really glad that we're able to have this conversation today. For the folks listening on the podcast, the show notes for the episode will have contact information from Mario and his team. So thank you everyone for listening. I hope you really enjoyed and benefited from this conversation. Any last words, Mario, for organizations that are considering using generative AI? Any tips, any best practices, any advice from someone who's already done it in a very innovative manner?
Well, first of all, thank you so much. It was a pleasure to have this conversation with you. And now my words are that don't be afraid about using these kind of technologies that are very innovative, but in my opinion, very mature, like Azure OpenAI, for example, and very secure. That's the main conversation that I have every day, talking about security, confidentiality, and those things. It could save a lot of time in your business, in your production, in every place. I'm sure that it could save a lot of money, a lot of time, and a lot of money. And if my always the same thing that I normally say is that if you don't use Gen AI, your competitor will do it. So please start using Gen AI or another technologies that could help you a lot in your business.
That's a very good point, Mario. ChatGPT, Gen AI, fastest growing app in history. So a lot of people using it. And very good point. If you're not using it, your competition is. And in order to make good use of generative AI, obviously you need to have good, solid partners who've done some excellent projects and who know about the intricacies of multilingual, on-prem, on cloud, security, etc. So thank you for your time. And for the folks that are listening, take a look at the show notes. You'll have the ability to reach out to Mario and learn more about his project. So Mario, muchas gracias. Thank you so much.
Muchas gracias. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.